great day again to talk about Nigerian politics. As I talk to you right now, Atiku Abubakar don't talk, say Nigerians must not accept the Electoral Act where it be say, I mean the amendment of the Electoral Act where it be say these people just put together. Say they no make them no accept them no matter what. Because say what thing they don't do now to still put another comma for where Wahala go from enter inside again. And that's one of the but that the main conversation I want make we get today. Make we get person will be say sabi this law, sabi the constitution to break down this matter where it be say National Assembly don't bring for us, the Senate. After all the drama, they don't come. Oh, people say, oh, they succumb to us. Did they really succumb or they actually had their way one way or the other? Welcome to Updates with Precious. Another beautiful day to bring on an update of all the things where they happen for inside Nigeria. My name is Precious Ekine, and it always sweet my belly to bring on an update of these and more. Well, before I continue to bring on an update, I'm sure I don't give on a headline. So in case you never hear some headlines, oh yeah, rush, go the former life, make you go watch the headlines. And because I get plenty conversation now, and I feel no run down all the headlines them. But one where I would like to touch and I say over 70 people now we hear say don't die as they talk to you right now for inside Taraba State, thief communities for Taraba State. Sake of say they say armed headsmen don't attack them and kill plenty people them for inside that place. In fact, another part again, they abduct passengers for inside bus they go. So all of this and more matter 9 they happen. I also tell you, say Sheyi Makinde been they in a meeting with Atiku Abubakar and former head of state Babangida. That one said day grand, and we will talk about them. And then Atiku Abubakar don't talk this one. We say talk Nigerians don't they react about them. Say they no go agree for this one. But whether Nigerians agree or they no agree, you go hold any water. They are no agree, go make any sense. Well, Peter Obi don't talk. So we then ready to resist election rigging for every means, by every means for 2027. But that statement we make, we go still hold any water. Meanwhile, Northern Nigeria must mobilize against Tinubu and Remi. She just declared international war on us. Netizens, now they talk this one. You know, sir, tell on I say it go be problem. That time we be say, Madam First Lady talk say US airstrike for Sokoto Day welcomed. Say they expect more airstrike. I know say some people no go like them. And this is exactly what don't happen with this. They don't like them at all. Kwara massacre, we have lost count of those who were burnt inside the church and rooms. Remember, say people been there inside the church where they say the burning happened, where they throw them, where them put fire for inside the church, and they say they no fit get the number of people there right now. This is Aquara community leader. Now they talk this one. So plenty things there for matter where we say we go talk about. And people just they talk say now wow. So now so within Nigeria things they happen like this. So inside this country where we say we dey inside. Which way for inside this our country? And more matter they where we say we go put eye inside very sharply make I even look them. They too plenty jare. Ezekwesili accuses Akpabio-led Senate of plotting to rig 2027 election with electoral loophole, saying deliberately put that loophole so that he could use and rig the election. Well, all of this matter them and more. Ex-Senate President Lawan urges Muslims to sanction preachers fearing terrorism. So all those preachers who they fear terrorism, when they sanction them because then they cause problem for Nigeria. Well, all this and more, now we say we're going to look at this evening. So joining me for Inside the Studio, now Barrister Ekine. Barrister Ekine, now constitutional lawyer, himself a human rights person. He's a big fight for people who sabi. But the most important thing we say, this our constitution will be their Bible for legal terms, their own Bible in Sabi and where. They quote and the way pastors they use preach. Quotes Bible. Make I invite Barrister Henry. Barrister Henry, good evening. Happy New Year to you and welcome to the show. It's always a delight to have you here. Welcome, sir.
Precious, thank you for having me. It's a delight to be with you too. It's my pleasure. Happy New Year, really. That's what it is.
Thank you.
But then are we really happy in Nigeria with the reports that replicate everywhere, especially when you count numbers of deaths? It's really disturbing. We just haven't recovered from 178 plus or more in Kwara State.
It was over 200 according to locals.
Over
they said it was over 200.
And then you're telling me in Taraba, 70. Are we really happy people? No, we are not.
Oh, before that Taraba, another one happened in Benin that involved about 30 people or 30 something people.
Just imagine.
It's like a
but sometimes I even worry. Sometimes I even imagine how these killings are carried out because I just don't know how you will succeed in killing people and you kill 100, 150, 200 and above. How? How many assailants came into these communities? What kinds of weapon are they bearing? Where is the protection of these harmless Nigerians? Where are the security agencies? Well, it's really disturbing. May their souls rest in peace.
Amen. So the major issue is that most of these locals are not armed, whereas that
Yes,
their
certainly.
attackers are armed. So when somebody who's with AK-47 comes into your
Can kill
village,
40 persons in
taunts
1 minute.
everyone, he can kill 50 people at a time with one AK-47. It doesn't matter. It just goes on a shooting spree, and that's exactly what's been going on in this country. It's very sad. But let's talk about our River State a little bit before we go to the core of the matter. Your governor, your former governor, your how go put them, your grand governor. You know when you have grand total and grandfather, your grand governor just met your governor. I'm sorry, it's my state too. And he's just spoken. He said that the president has intervened and he will tell the assembly to step aside. That means now they tell assembly what they could do,
Yeah.
and that the president intervened for the second time as a father, and that he will tell the assembly to step aside, and he wants to believe it's the very last time that the assembly would sheath their sword. And he also believes that this is not quoting him verbatim. He also believes that the governor on his part will also do what he's supposed to do. By the way, just after that meeting today in River State, Fubara goes to where he's monitoring the ring road, the Port Harcourt ring road, and then now says that he has been charged to complete this road in record time. So you don't give contractors till October to complete them. Say this project was initiated by my Oga, and it is very important by my Oga that I must finish it. Well, what is going on in River State?
Well, River State remains our pride, no doubt, no matter what the avoidable and unnecessary, deliberately orchestrated crisis for the benefit of those who are political investors, really. That's just what it is. Otherwise, we're thriving, we're peaceful here, but challenged with governance and then unnecessary political crisis. I can tell you, Precious, back here in the States, those of us who are private concerns still have our businesses at least going on. I go to work, I come back, my children go to school, and the same way, children of other families go to school, private businesses are going on. Public service too is going on because there's no problem with the public service, the civil service in River State. For me, these are some very important assessments as to what's happening in River State because we cannot always talk about the orchestrated politics or political crisis by even the way by Nyesom Wike and those who are loyal to him, that he directs them one way or another, the members of the River State House of Assembly. Because if it his and comments and statements, and you take out let me tell you that you where I assessed the 10th River State House of Assembly as the worst ever in the history of River State House of Assembly. And the basis is very clear. The basis for assessment of a House of Assembly, if you apply that to this 10th House of Assembly, you really will score them 0. So if we take out all of those political challenges, we still have a River State that is going on. Governance is managing to go on. The public service is on. I can tell you one interesting thing, that the majority of civil servants in River State are even enjoying some kind of stay at home for a positive reason. Stay at home in the sense that the magnificent, historic is on Chariot Complex in massive as we speak. I think
we lost you intermittently while you were talking. It kept breaking, so we didn't hear the core of what we were saying. You said the River State's civil servants are enjoying some sort of public holiday or sit at home.
Yes, some sort of public holiday declared by the government. That's correct. And let me put this in context. Part of what is happening in River State, like you asked, I said it there so much. The River State government currently, what had appeared to elude successive administrations, the River State governor has the courage to carry out the renovation or rehabilitation of the Secretariat complex. I can tell you, Precious, arguably, if the pictures were to be shown here, that the River State government has one of the most magnificent secretariats across this country. Certainly so. done at the time that I think we had better governance in this country. We have the point block, the podium block. These are high rises, and then we have the other one ABC. These are, I think, the point block is about 21 or so floors, and then the podium block near that, and then you have the three other blocks ABC of about 7 or 8 floors, each of them. And then the complex with other structures around it is undergoing massive renovation and rehabilitation at this time. And it is for that reason that the River State civil servants were asked to stay at home, probably work at home, or just stay on a holiday, a positive one, except you have a very sensitive activity to come carry out. Otherwise, for safety, it's not even safe for them. Now, that is going on by a governor and a government that is committed, despite this unexistent or unnecessary and avoidable political crisis. And that's why I tell you the crisis is orchestrated for some personal reason. Not that there's no governance.
You mean to say that governance is going on in River State, irrespective and despite the ongoing.
Yes. So imagine what would have been if this distraction wasn't there. How else? Governance is going on. The ministries and departments and agencies of government and the boards of government are working. The government in university has not shut down. The governor you referenced this evening went on. That's one of the most ambitious projects going on in this administration. Over 60 kilometers of road, ring road, around Port Harcourt. Imagine a metropolitan city as Port Harcourt to even conceive the idea of mapping out a ring road. You imagine that there will be massive demolition and, of course, compensation in that regard. When we were doing political, public administration and political science, there was a time we talked about developing an already developed space. It will involve a lot of destruction and compensation. So a Port Harcourt city already developed state, and then you are conceiving the construction of a ring road linking over 4 to 5 local governments to the center of Port Harcourt. That is going on. Other landmark projects, those from the riverine of Calabari and some other parts of River State, will have a history to tell when the real original Trans-Calabari Road is completed. Because as we speak every day, work is going on. It is not the kind of politicized Trans-Calabari Road that was done. You leave the main conceived project from Port Harcourt to link the Calabari communities, and then you leap onto Abonima or somewhere around those local governments and connect to communities and say that's the Trans-Calabari Road. It is this time that we're having the real construction of the Trans-Calabari Road, which was a landmark design to bring all of those riverine Calabari communities and local governments as if they are part of Port Harcourt. You just drive through
before we go to the core of our conversation, which is the Electoral Reform Act, we don't get a lot of drama around them. How the River State people they react to this, to the governor, being, I don't know how to explain it, so I don't, come off rude, but being a bit docile in terms of responding to the FCT minister in like term. How do you think, how are they responding? And then with his movement to APC too, does it mean that the president, Bola Tinubu, has Rivers votes because the people of Rivers State love the governor? And then again, we can also said something during the weekend that the president does not need the governor to give him votes in Rivers State because he has all the senators, he has all the House of Rep members, National Assembly members, so he has all the structures, and all the structures will give him votes. So what is the pulse of the Rivers people like? What's in the talk?
Pressure, the style of politics of Nyesom Wike, I don't seem to understand again. These people he counted, they are individuals. Yes, I know that there are the kinds of individuals that could also influence a number of persons around them, but how many would that be? So I do not think that a wise president would say there's any person he doesn't need to win election. So don't mind Nyesom Wike, the president needs everybody. And I think that's why the president is even playing the card that he's playing. He appears not to want to lose any of the two of them, so that the supporters of Nyesom Wike could be of value to him and the supporters of Sim Fubara could be of value to him. So it is not correct for Nyesom Wike. I think it's just probably speaking in condemnation or to undermine the governor of Rivers State, and then to probably overhype himself and then those who are supporting him. how many senators do we have? We have 3 senators. So that's 3 votes maximum. And then with the supporters that are around them, maybe their aides and all of that. Of this, that all of the supporters will give them, because it's okay with. It's not everything. Now you ask what's the pulse of the people of Rivers State. The people of Rivers State are very happy. I think Rivers people are one unique people in Nigeria that, despite what is happening, they've not taken to any aggression. We are very law-abiding people, very peaceful people, hospitable people. So even when we are seeing the temptation and the provocation right in our faces, we have resisted every kind of unlawful or illegal reaction. That, for me, it's a credit to the Rivers people. Rivers people have shown love to every person that has governed Rivers State at all times, including Nyesom Wike when he was the governor. Rivers people queued and filed behind him. That's a character that has been internalized. So today, it is directed at Sim Fubara. I tell you, Precious, if Sim Fubara goes out on the streets in Rivers State, you would see the organic, natural support for him. Recently, he was on the Creek Road part of the Port Harcourt township to see the reconstruction, or rather, not even a total new construction of the popular Creek Road market. That's close to my office area. Precious, you see yes, in town.
I mean, the normal Creek Road that I know, we are by my fresh.
The Creek Road that you know, you will not know Creek Road again. That Creek Road market has been pulled down, and then the whole vast area cleared up, and then a new market. These are people who own those shops. These are people who own, and they were profiled. It was done in an organized way. They were profiled, and then so that likely at the end of the construction, if you return to them, these are people who were happy. If you see them, and all kinds of persons, all walks of life, you see them around the governor. These are the same electorate. These people have a right to vote. So they are already expressing their love, organic support for the government. Then he went on also to other parts of Old Port Harcourt Township, where he's reconstructing the streets. And these are real things. I mean, just like when we go to the electoral law amendment, real-time situation, Precious, that you see the streets of Port Harcourt, the popular broad Agri Road is wearing a new look. In fact, from number 1 Agri Road down to the Cannery Point at the popular Agri Estate end of Agri Road, you know, that's a broad street. It's wearing a new look. So the man is doing what he can do. He just also returned from, not speaking for him, from a link of the Woji area to the Okrika area, the refinery area. So you will not have to go through the East-West Road, through Akpajo, and then you connect the refinery and all of that. So governance is going on. Administration is going on.
Why are they not speaking? We don't hear Sim or his people speak about this. We don't hear them talk, especially for those of us in Lagos State and other parts of the country.
I have learned something from Sim. Precious, I have learned something from Sim, that when you find yourself in a crisis as this, you have a choice, either to join and behave like those who are provoking you, and then they are agents provocateur, and then also make much of the noise. Like Sim said at some point, that you bark when you don't, a dog barks when he doesn't understand what is around him. Then I think I've learned a lesson. So what is important to the people is work on. But I agree with you that I think there has to be a deliberate approach by the government to probably look at who speaks for the government, who speaks for him, and then who also brings all of these to the wider public, indeed. But whatever is happening, I think that on the other side, Precious, there has been a challenge, no doubt. We can't pretend that the president has intervened yet again. And then look at a statesman, a former governor of Rivers State, and then saying that he will talk to the House of Assembly members. This is another underscore for the House of Assembly members. People who were elected by constituents, thousands of constituents, believing that these are men of their own mind, and then that they will be able to represent them in their best interest. But rather, they have chosen to abandon their constituents that elected them, but listen to a single man who probably bought forms for them and then sponsor them and support them in all the way. And then he's directing them one way or another. Most of us didn't know until Wike has said this again, that he's going to talk to them to pipe low and then allow governance. But again, that's the positive one. We thank that initiative. And then, of course, the governor for also always yielding to this discussion and this call. For some governors like Wike, he wouldn't have done this. We all were here and we knew the relationship between Wike and late President Buhari. I am not sure that Wike ever sat in any of those federal meetings that would have had the governor sit there. Most times you see the former deputy governor, now senator, representing the state. Because Yekile's uncle was deliberate, that he drew the line between himself and former President late Buhari. So, but for Sim Fobara, I think we'll give him some credit for always responding to these calls. Then you also asked about his defection to the All Progressives Congress.
Yes,
yes, whatever calculation that was, and then led him to that. I think for me, it's expected that having done that, he should have some protection. But did he go to the All Progressives Congress because of that protection? For me, I wouldn't be really excited and pleasant with that. Can't people really stand firm on what they believe in, even if they are going to make the sacrifice of losing what they hold dearly? I think that's principle. I can be a governor and I tell you, look, I'm convinced with my convictions that this is what I hold on dearly. And many would say, oh, but if you don't do this, you may lose your seat. That's okay. Well, if losing the seat will be the price I will pay for maintaining my integrity and my discipline and my conviction, so be it. But I don't see that in politicians. However, I think that the governor should be commended that despite the power he wields in the state and despite enormity of, if you like, constitutional power vested in him, and the fact that he could make a lot of executive orders like the former governor did, yes, on Wike, to even probably restrain Wike from doing some of the things that he's doing today. But then he's not exercising those brute powers that even some persons are beginning to dis. But I for that reason that is also commendable. Adding to some positive governor, I haven't seen clearly, because he had defected to the All Progressives Congress when the members, the unfortunate members of the Rivers State House of Assembly, I'm very deliberate about that, because those of them who are remaining are really unfortunate to Rivers State in terms of legislature in a democracy, where the expectation most of us have, expecting of the legislature to use law and lawmaking to address most of these challenges has actually been short-lived. So unfortunately, we really are not getting much of what we expected of the legislature. And very quickly, before I probably take a break, I had said that the 10th Rivers State House of Assembly is the worst in the performance of House of Assembly in Rivers State. How would we assess a House of Assembly or any legislature? The primary responsibility of a legislature by the Constitution, Section 4 of the Constitution, established the legislature as the organ of government to make laws for good governance, peace and order in the state. So the question is, how many laws has the 10th Assembly of Rivers State made since May 2023? And none. Apparently no new law. What they have done, because some who are listening will say, but why are you not in the state? And then they pass some laws. I have followed on very closely. What they attempted sometime 2024 early or so was to amend certain legislations to serve purposes at the time that they were fighting. One of those legislations was the Rivers State Local Government Law. So Martin Ameule and his colleagues have only resorted to amending certain provisions of the Rivers State Local Government Law. And what were those provisions? To enable, or rather, to strip the governor of the power they vested in the former governor to constitute caretaker committees after the expiration of elected council members. You know what they did in the former local government law? They made very inordinate or democratic provision in that local government law, shamefully by a House of Assembly, to the extent that elections were to be conducted only after the expiration of the tenure of an elected executive council of our local government. That meant that elected council in Rivers State were to serve until their tenure expires. The Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission will not talk about elections. The elections were to be conducted after the expiration. We argued about that, but when Sim Fubara came into power, they quickly wanted to amend that law to bring it back that elections should be conducted before the expiration of the council. That's been an amendment that they quarreled, they turned the state into crisis. Another legislation they also amended was the Rivers State Independent Electoral Commission law, and probably one or two in the course of their fight. Otherwise, conceive of new bills by members or pass resolutions that will address challenges in Rivers State. We have had about 2 or 3 floodings in Rivers State. There has never been any resolution passed by the Rivers State House of Assembly as a matter of urgent interest to Rivers people to address even the crisis in Rivers State. It's a failure, abysmal failure of this assembly.
So I was just going to point out, I mean, so that we don't dwell too much on this. I know people are waiting to hear the real conversation. Just to dwell on this, just to point out, these same lawmakers, every single person for the assembly, now people will be say we can buy phone for them, Abi.
Exactly. That's why he said he can talk to them in the morning, in the evening, and the afternoon.
Even those ones will come out, come read out something, say they don't want the impeachment again, but can't continue. That they could practically not even read what was written.
That's the House Assembly we have.
Then what kind of law you expect them to make?
That's why some of us are not surprised.
But what kind of law do you expect them? I mean, something that was written was difficult to articulate. When it wasn't so easy to articulate a written document, then how you won't begin conceptualize an idea of a bill? Compassa.
That's the embarrassment. I was just watching the spokesperson of the Senate. And then even if what he was saying, he was just ranting with respect to him. But the only point that I think is of reference that he made this evening was that lawmaking is not a play as such. It's not a street business, really. So it's a serious business. That I agree. To conceive a law, to go through all of the comparative considerations, whether there is an existing law that may conflict with the law you're conceiving, or whether what you want to address has already been sufficiently addressed by another law, so that you don't make multiplicity of laws, all of those researches. And then to even think about what mischief in society and how that your law will provide solutions. Before you even talk about the drafting, the couching, you compare that with the kind of honorables that we had the other time who could not even express themselves. And not just those two. There are a lot of them in the Rivers House of Assembly. Unfortunately, it is until this crisis that they are revealing themselves. And then one is not surprised because they were actually handpicked and sponsored, and then the elections rigged in their favor. And that is why you could see the drag even in the National Assembly when civil society organizations and our organization, the CDHR, holding very strongly a position that we should overhaul the electoral law so that we prevent as much as possible those kind of selective victory in our election, where a godfather can actually be almost sure who is going to be elected. And you see the drama in the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, so that it can continue to, between the polling units and then the collation centers, manipulate the results. That can only be what probably happened for us to have the kind of honorables we have in the House of Assembly, probably across the country. But particularly what has shown up is in Rivers State. Otherwise, where are the quality, a very discerning hearts and members? Rivers State, really.
Just
no, it's embarrassing. It's really embarrassing.
I was quite watching all this, and some of my guests have made sure to remind me that that's my state representatives, and it's very embarrassing. Even though
don't feel ashamed. Don't feel ashamed. When we get the right laws, you get the right people in the House of Assembly, where you have robust debate and then transformative legislation that can address all of the critical issues confronting our society. I have said, Precious, that I know as a political scientist and a lawyer that he can use legislation to address a lot of problems, including the national issues confronting us. You can use legislation to address
I agree.
unemployment.
That is why I think that
Everything.
even our National Assembly, in fact, our laws generally in Nigeria is not even enough at all. You know, people are thinking even towards technology, making laws to control technology, to help their people to benefit from the technologies and all that. We are still looking at the now. You know, something the other time, I think you and I talked about this. Something as very minute as the mother, who is the mother of a child. Something as minute as surrogacy cannot even be reflected in our law. I don't know if it is yet reflected. Where in Nigerian law, it is only somebody who traditionally bears the child that is the mother. So there is no place for surrogacy or stuff like that. Our people are not even aware that there's something called
our
technology
legislators are
that
not
can
in
enable
tune.
that. And we have people in our National Assembly. I don't even know what they're doing because these are
What?
laws. There are lots of Nigerian people who have had kids through surrogacy, and we don't have laws backing that up till today. So what happens if my surrogate mother perhaps runs away or something? I don't have any law to hold her down. It's really very heartbreaking. The kind of people we have in our national, I mean, things that other countries have done away with and are moving on are things that we've not even thought of touching at all. I'm sorry, I'm getting emotional. So I didn't want us to push further. I'm so sorry, sir.
So
I'm so
that's the reality about our nation, and that's why this program is a veritable one. And for even being so liberal that we can actually cross the paths and then discuss elaborately. Precious, it's really a serious concern. But look at them, look at them. I was watch the National Assembly, watch the Senate. It's a retirement arrangement.
oh.
So yes, the average age of our senators, and not even just about the age, even their knowledge. I seek to challenge them. If they want to say they are very knowledgeable, show it in the quality of legislations you make and the kind of interventions that you also bring. That's the problem. So, because some will argue with me now, I say, but some of them are professors. But show it. When they go in there, it's just as if their knowledge and expertise is taken away from them, and then they become businessmen. We have former governors, people who ought to have been retired if they were in public service. They are retirees. You go to the House of Representatives, of course, when they go there, it's about business. What is getting in their hands? What is coming to them of personal interest? So even when legislation is forced on them to be made, they are considering what is their interest, their discretion, not listening to what the people want. Before we even talk about the governors and the president. So it's unfortunate, but I think we will get there.
All right, sir. So moving on to the Electoral Act amendment. While what's happened during, I mean, last weekend or last week happened, some senators, especially from the opposition, come tell us they should say over 80% of them they accept a transmission, a real-time transmission of results, and then commot transfer. But they were surprised that when they come, they put them to vote. Now transfer they come bring to them, and they put to vote. And that was very debatable. And people, INEC Abaribe came out and held a press conference alongside other opposition lawmakers, and they said, no, this is not what we passed. And because of the drama where the thing bring out, the Senate president called for emergency plenary today for them to deliberate further on it. And the plenary held today. And people were very, very, excited when they saw Abaribe standing up to Akpabio. Something where we say, need it to happen for this particular National Assembly, because I don't know why. It looks like there was a time, I think it was Natasha during that her issue with Akpabio wrote something that she said that the National Assembly is like a cult. If anything is happening, like you don't just talk, like you must protect each other no matter what it is. Because I still do not know why people are not able to stand up to either the leadership of the National Assembly or even each other when they disagree on issues. So, I mean, when he said that, people were happy that he was standing up to Akpabio and he was speaking and saying that, you let me talk. In fact, let's put it to vote. And then we're like, yeah, go in, you're doing it right. Let's put it to vote. Make we know those when no one make you get better election. And when Akpabio was ready to put it to vote, then Henna says he wants to withdraw it. He's not doing it again. And we're not surprised what's going on. And in all fairness, even when he wanted to withdraw it, nobody accepted to second the motion for the withdrawal. Now, the big question is, what what do you think our politicians are afraid of with a free and fair election? That's another point. And why do you think it is
Yeah.
difficult for senators to actually speak up true to what the masses demand? What is going on? Are they our true representatives? I'm sorry I had to toe that line, but it's worrisome.
Precious, we haven't been having elections. We have always been having some periodic ritual
Hey,
of maybe pretending to, yeah, periodic ritual, pretending to have election when the season comes.
just to
That is
fulfill
to
all
say, no,
righteousness.
like
Make
now
it not
that
be
we
like saying
have
we move
maybe credit to the civil society organizations and human rights organizations, including the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights.
Hmm.
So now we succeeded that the military were taken out in 1998, and by 1999 we got this election. So let it be that since the constitution says every 4 years, let's have a ritual of having
Okay.
elections. So you
Hmm.
asked, why are these politicians afraid? They are afraid
Yes.
because they would always want this status quo to remain, this rather ritual kind of purported elections, because they are not popular. They wouldn't really ordinarily win elections. Most of them not even in 1/10 of the size of their constituencies. But they would only return to their positions if elections are squeezed, if elections are, if like, made in, if the electoral laws and institutions are open to manipulation so that they can have their ways. So that, for me, basically is the reason they are afraid. The reason they are afraid for us to have the right electoral law, the legal framework, and also an independent institutional framework, the Independent National Electoral Commission, and probably other very necessary commission that many of us have advocated should be established by law, is because if we have all of these, elections may appear to be more credible. Elections may appear to be better conducted, and then a clear representation of the people, and then the people too have trust in the electoral system and process, and then you would see that those who are more popular will be returned. So that's clearly the philosophy behind the fear of our politicians. And then the National Assembly now, I tell you that at all times in our National Assembly, we have people who have ambition either to go to their states to become governor, if they haven't become, especially in the Senate, they have governors already. In the House of Representatives, almost every general election, you have representatives in respective states wanting to be governor or even wanting to become
So the
senators.
National
Then in the
Assembly and
Senate,
governors, they do rotation. After governorship, you come back to
that's
Senate.
what it is.
So it's rotation.
So they know that, look, this law they want to make, they want to enact, if the law is effective and such a way that will put a check in these manipulations in the election, if they are going to, even if they are in the Senate and they want to remain in the Senate, to come back to seek the mandate of the people and be elected to go to the Senate, they will be sure that they won't return. If we have a good electoral law and an independent, determined electoral commission, most of our senators will never return. Most of the honorable members in the House of Reps will not return. Most of the governors wouldn't return. In fact, the president will not even return. So you now would have a new breed of persons to be voted into those positions. But that's what it is. So I think that's one of their fears. Then another is, unfortunately, as Natasha, you said, we have said, that appears to be the reality. Our political class is like a cult. The Nigerian political class has become like a fraternity of a negative orientation, where just for some reason, when you get into it, you find yourself infested one way or another, and then you don't seem to have an exception amongst them, unfortunately so. Even the few that have been trusted, that probably even came from the human rights movement or civil society groups, or even advocates themselves, some who suffered asylum, some who we thought we were going to look up to, or we were really looking up to as younger comrades ourselves, have come into politics in Nigeria, we no longer hear their voices. We no longer hear all our chants of a luta continua in them. We no longer hear injury to one, injury to all. We no longer hear equality. We no longer hear all those things that they used to sing in their slogans, beginning from Mr. President, who himself would arguably fit to be a human rights defender at some point, and then also suffered the struggle for liberation, really, and went on asylum. But look at the realities in terms of measure or the index of human rights in Nigeria. And then again, if you go to the House of Representatives, I will name names. There are some of them there who were comrades. I have a member of House of Representatives who incidentally even was part of the committee that accepted, unfortunately, to oversee the administration of Rivers State. If not for pecuniary interest, why should a National Assembly, the bastion, if you like, the bedrock of democracy, allow such an aberration against our constitution that a state governor elected without a provision in the constitution anywhere could be suspended from office, and then those legislators will gladly be constituted into a committee and then to come and oversee a state? But I know some of them there who are comrades. In fact, one of them, one of the leaders, even gave a lecture when we had in our organization the 30th anniversary of the Committee for the Defense of Human Rights. I was very instrumental in that organizing of the 30th anniversary of the CDHR. But today, what's the reality? So I agree with Natasha's observation that there appears to be a fraternity of a sort, and then they don't want to speak. And unfortunately, too, even those who are advocates cannot speak anymore. If you speak, then you'll be suspended. What kind of National Assembly is that? And then the judiciary will even give sanctions to those actions of maybe high-handed leadership of the National Assembly. See, precious, there is a whole lot to talk about Nigeria and what is happening. So, but back to the Act amendment, it's unfortunate. You see the realities that have played out. The version of the House of Representatives, and then what the Senate attempted to do about a week ago, and then with the pressure that has been exerted on the Senate, do not think that the return of the Senate today on an emergency sitting was by choice. It wasn't by choice. It was by the pressure of Nigerians, and then we call on Nigerians, many more Nigerians, to join in this movement, in this struggle, and to put the pressure more on the Senate that they must do just what we want. Because what they even propose to our past today is not what we want.
But
it's not what we want.
How do you say that from ECH, the manual will override IREV anywhere there is no network? Now, just to go put a glitch for the network so that the network will be bad that day, or at least they're bad for the areas where you won't win. So this is not. In fact, let me quickly play you what Atiku Abubakar had to say. He said something about this.
Yes,
let me quickly play that to you, so you should have his perspective.
The expectations of Nigerians who are expecting real-time electronic, transfer to the various levels of, of the elections. But what we got is a mixture of electronic and manual transmission, which is going to cause more confusion or chaos than if we have a single tier, electoral transmission system, which is real-time electronic. That would be our preference. And I think there is need for all the opposition political parties to come together to pursue this issue. I mean, we shouldn't allow it to rest where they wanted it to rest today. Absolutely not. I don't support that.
So will you be contesting for the 2027 election, and why are you here in Mina today?
Is it the first time that you are seeing me here? Certainly not. I have always come here to pay my respects. The issue of contesting 2027 election does not even arise. I am a member of ADC, and we are busy trying to make sure that our structures are firmly rooted, from the world level, local government level, state level, up to the national level. And we are busy mobilizing people and also registering at the same time.
What's your opinion about the zoning conversation? Will ADC be zoning to any particular?
We have no zoning provision in the ADC's constitution. In fact, the only party that has zoning in its constitution is PDP.
All right, sir. So, I mean, you've heard that. But now, one of the things we say they prominent. Now, so a lot of senators, including the Senate president, had always stated that there is no network. In fact, the Senate president said about 9 states are without network. You know, they painful and rather pitiable say, Obasanjo gave us internet since 1990 something when it come to early 2000s. That till now, the governors of various states are not they are aware anything about internet, the exclusive lists, right? I'll be executive list. So why it be say till now, we never get governors to make sure say they fit get internet available across. But people are saying that, but almost in every village, POS operates, POS operators operate. How do they just do the operation of POS? And how can our lawmakers be giving us this excuse? That let me let you handle that. Then whilst you handle that deliberate loophole where they put to use both manual and direct transmission. In fact, it was more like, I want direct transmission, I am on a see I'm there, but I will still do manual join them.
Yes. So Precious, you see, when these supposed leaders, because they're supposed to be leaders, begin to lie, and I'm very deliberate when I say lie. In law, if I were in court and I want to say my colleague is saying something that is not correct, I'll simply say that's not true or is not correct, right? Rather than expressly saying is a lie. But in this case and in this context, that's what suits them. You give a name to what suits it. Otherwise, you're glossing. So these are lies that we no longer accept. And I think Nigerians have clearly seen that these are lies. Let the Senate put in a schedule of a law to say this state and this state and that state do not have sufficient coverage of internet network. Let's see any schedule of any law that they will enact to say these are the states. They will interrogate those states. And then let them also even say what proportion of that state that is not covered by network. So it's a deliberate lie. And let me say this. Okay.
Yeah, I think we're losing you. Can you hear us, sir?
If we can have, I think about 3 or 4 network.
Oh dear.
I can hear you.
Yes, go ahead, sir. Go ahead, please. We lost you for a while.
But can you hear me now?
Yes, please.
Oh, thank you. So I was saying. Oh, good. I was saying that if the National Assembly truly think that some states do not have sufficient network coverage, they should make a law and then create a schedule to that law and specify those states and make provisions. So let us even know if there is one state that will be definite that this state in the schedule does not have sufficient network coverage. And so for this state, it shall be from EC8A. Not the way they have thought they want to come deceive Nigerians. Like you said, there are common things that we have taken for granted. All the 36 states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria have networks. All 36 states. That's number one. Then we can now go to particular areas, whether there is a community that does not have. And INEC knows all of the polling units, where they are. Let me say Unit 17 of Ward 4 of Ahoda West local government area is my local village. Precious, there is no mast. There is no communication mast of all of the 4 network providers in my village. But you know what? But we have network of Glo, Airtel, and in some locations in that community, MTN. In my village, my own village. So if I'm traveling home now, I insert my Airtel SIM in my phone, even in my community. But they probably the nearest mast, right, spread the network up to my village. So what are they telling us? Network be in everybody's room. In every polling unit, there is. Can I tell you, Precious? One of the tests of the truth, or otherwise, what these people are saying is all of the polling units are accessible. It is believed that electoral materials get to all of the polling units. And in this country, for anywhere in this country to be accessible by any means that the polling materials get to, I am not sure that that part of the country is so flung off that we do not have network. For those of us in riverine areas, I tell you, off to the oceans or the high seas, as far as materials get to, even the boats, we get calls from them. And again, ask the ad hoc workers whether when they go to those locations, they don't have their phones working. That's even one argument. Then another argument, Precious, let me tell you, when I travel to the village, and for any reason, there is a downtime in network on the provider that I thought would be on and go with the SIM, all of the text messages that will come in that SIM, on that my line, as soon as I move out and get to Ahoda, or even not Ahoda, as soon as I move out from the village and I get to where there is network, my phone begins to blink, and then all of the messages will come in. This has been repeatedly, several, by people who are advocating that we can have a seamless electronic transmission real time at the voting unit. Then again, what about the argument that is so strong now, so strong, that defeats all of these lies by these legislators? The law as it is now, with respect to accreditation, is straight and clear to the effect that only the beavers will be used for accreditation and nothing more. So if for any reason the beavers fails and accreditation fails, I think the position of the law now is that the election for that unit will be cancelled, or another beavers will be brought, or for any reason, INEC will make sure that accreditation was done with the use of this electronic device. Don't forget that the Electoral Act 2022 speaks about electronic device, and the beavers is an electronic device, and this beavers is to be used absolutely for accreditation, and it is the same beavers that is to be used for electronic transmission. What are we talking about? Who is deceiving who? The same beavers in the same location at the same time, real time, that is to be used for accreditation, that immediately after accreditation you are casting your vote. The same gadget, the same instrument, the same electronic device, in the same location. The law recognizes that the beavers shall be the instrument for accreditation and nothing more. Then you use the beavers for accreditation. When that accreditation is uploaded, it's transmitted, then accounted, and simply snap the from EC8A that the results would have been entered in the presence of all voter units, and immediately, real time, instantly, scan it, snap it by the same device you use for accreditation and upload it, just like sending a picture to someone. Even if there is no network, it will go, it will hang there. Then somebody tells us that when it comes to transmission of results, and you're raising, please pass the law for us without ESO, that where there is no network. Why did they say where the beavers does not work? Change the law with respect to the position of us with respect to accreditation. They say where there is no network. So why didn't they say where the beavers does not work in the course of transmitting a result, that the result should be cancelled? I mean, the election there should be cancelled, and then another date should be scheduled for that election, and provision must be made.
What is the danger if Nigerians accept this thing where they don't do now? What's going to be the danger for Nigerians if they accept this law where they pass like this? That the beavers, that the manual will override the beavers.
Now, Precious, you see, it means that we have not made any move at all. We are trying to cure a mischief. One thing people need to understand in lawmaking is that there must be a mischief that you want to cure, you want to do away with, right? And what is that mischief? Manipulation of our election results. That has been generally accepted and agreed by all persons, all observers. The Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, the CDHR, which I serve as the National Legal Advisor, we observe elections every season, general elections and off-season elections, okay? And then our usual observation everywhere and all observers, the truth is that our election results are usually manipulated. And most times the point of manipulation is between the voting point, if you like, the polling unit and the supposed collation center. Know that we have graduated from a point where we had card reader. When we introduced card readers were such that even when you're not there, your card can be used to accredit you for an election, because simply the machine was made to identify a voter register. So at some point we developed to which is Beavers now, where there are other features that must be captured for that accreditation to go through, so that we'll be sure that it's actually that person. So why are we afraid to cure the mischief of mutilation of election results from EC8A? And unfortunately, when it comes to from EC8A, even when it's clearly mutilated on the face of it, it's still being admitted by the tribunals. When certain documents, when they are so mutilated, they become things that you raise questions, serious questions, as to the authenticity of those documents. But for the EC8A, because of the interest of politicians, even when it is manifestly mutilated between the polling unit and the collation center, or at the collation center before the final collation and declaration of results, it's still being admitted for the purpose of collating the results to deliver, to return an elected person. So the fear of this is, if we accept the way the Senate particularly is going, it makes a proviso that whittles down, that reduces the efficacy of even the electronic transmission clause. Where you have a clause in a legislation and you have a proviso, the Supreme Court has interpreted to the extent that that proviso works not to strengthen that primary clause, but to weaken it. Such that in this case, for instance, if we had an express automatic provision for electronic transmission and no option, especially where it doesn't work, you say, look, then do it again. But now the Senate is trying to, from the back door, introduce an option to say, if the electronic transmission does not work, then resort to our old age, if you like, the stone age of resorting to from EC8A, which is manual. That way, are we making progress really? Are we amending our law to show that we have actually discovered a mischief that we want to cure by moving forward? So if you ask, I think for me, clearly the fear that we still have, and we insist that that proviso should be taken off, and let's have a clear provision to the effect that results from the polling units shall be transmitted electronically, real time, meaning immediately, right there, spontaneously, and there should be sanction for any electoral officer who fails, who after conducting the accreditation with the same beavers in the same location and had network, and then after the voting and after entering the results of the votes on from EC8A and fails to transmit by whatever means, when even your own phone there will have network. See, certain things happen. Do you know what, Precious? You will have a situation where an ad hoc worker in a polling unit is able to make a call to the supervisor at the rack, as the whether it's area collection or whatever, and make a call through to say, look, we are having a problem with the device in the polling unit. What network is that one? The ad hoc worker can make a call through to a supervisor elsewhere to say we are having a problem. In our unit, we see this, Nigerians see this. Sometimes maybe they forget the passcode to open the device in the polling unit, and they can make a call to the supervisor, and they will send them another code or remind them of the code to open the device to be able to do what they need to do. So is it only magical? And what spirit from there? Is it a Amadioha spirit or which spirit? That when it comes to only the transmission of the result electronically, that the network will not work. We know we have grown beyond that stage. Otherwise, we will take siege of the National Assembly.
All right, sir. So, there are other parts of this Electoral Act we'll never even look at. Remember, say, for the past election, there were times and places when Ibisi didn't get to bypass the beavers. When they say the beavers no function, then bypass the beavers, do accreditations manually. Do you remember? Because that was a thing in the 2023 election in some places. And then we also still have some of the amendments where Ibisi, I would not even be sure whether they don't amend them. Say they shrink the time where Ibisi political parties will do their campaign and all that from 360 to 180 days. And INEC on its own, they feel like say the duration we then get to prepare that time after primaries and all that 360 days no day enough for them, but they can't even reduce them more. Some people say, if you like say they just want to make sure say only government with the power now go fit do them. So what is going on with the Electoral Act amendments? I think we're just a bit too carried away by the direct transmission alone, without also looking at other things. So if they say they won't use frustrate other political parties. So how do we hold them accountable to ensure we do the right thing?
It's by insisting, just like our comrades who have come out of their comforts of their homes and besieged the National Assembly, and then all the conversations we've been having, all the workshops, and even this discussion we're having right now, we continue to insist on the right thing and reject what is not right. If we do understand, I was speaking with someone about civic education and the people understanding really their obligation with respect to ensuring that the right things are really done within our system and to ensure credible elections. So I think we have to continue to demand. That's one. Then two, hold those who are unfortunately stifling our progress accountable to the extent that when they return to us, if we really do understand that sovereignty lies in us, and then for us to determine who governs us, when they come back, we tell them, oh no, Mr. Man, you didn't vote in the pattern that we wanted you to vote on this issue. But unfortunately, our elections and campaigns are not based on issues. Elsewhere, the people can actually confront and question their representatives on the pattern they probably align themselves with when it comes to critical discussions on the issues that affect them. But for us, the realities during our campaigns are actually parties where we go to probably compose songs or hire musicians to come and sing, and then all of the party faithfuls have become dancers. So that's just what happens at campaign grounds in all our stadia. So, but ordinarily, I think that we should be canvassing issues so that we'll be able to hold our leaders accountable on the basis of those issues we canvass during campaigns before elections. But for what the National Assembly, particularly the Senate, is doing, the resistance is by Nigerians insisting that what we want is real-time electronic transmission, full-time, no options, no proviso. And if there is any proviso, it should be one that will enable the efficacy of that principal provision of that section. That is to say, where there is any reason that the result of the election in a unit cannot be transmitted electronically real-time, that election in that unit should be conducted again, should be cancelled and be reconducted, just as applies to the beavers. And you talked about bypassing the beavers. That is unlawful and illegal. Because it's just like we had before we got to this point. Remember when we introduced incident form? I think that was in 2023. That's the bypass we talked about. That where the beavers fails, that you should resort to incident form. And you know that
Yes.
for some reason, some polling units and some states almost completely resorted to incident forms and probably didn't even attempt to have the beavers to work. Some deliberately configured or configured rather the beavers in such a way that it shouldn't work, so that they have justification to resort to the incident forms. And then those were the ways they manipulated and rigged the election.
All right, sir. So another thing, I don't know if you're with us, sir. Can you hear me? I feel like I said I don't.
Yes, I am.
Sorry.
Yes, I think it's
no, so another thing where BC people they talk about now, waiting we need to do to make sure say we block all the ambiguity where BC happened with the last election, where the judges from use passed their judgments based on the last election, because really Nigerians are tired and people feel that if the right thing is not done with the Electoral Act, it may cause voters apathy because people will just lose hope for inside the system. So waiting be those likely loopholes where you think say being there for the 2022 Electoral Act we need to be tightened so that we no go get that, we no go day, in any place where technicalities or misinterpretation like the and shall will not be a problem. You know what happened with the Abuja and what are those things? Because we must get it right. And then must we, just like you mentioned earlier, must we always have a law where we always leave a blind mind somewhere where people go from sleep, people say now here, now we go from get up. Now there, now the people go read from break. Please let's have you react to that. Nigeria's phone lines are open. Let me quickly let them know that they can call you. I'm sure they have more questions to ask you than I have. Go ahead, sir, please.
Yes, Precious. The Electoral Act is the primary legal framework governing our election. Maybe just after the Constitution, let's say, because the Constitution contains provisions with respect to election. But
Yes,
now we have provisions in the Electoral Act that are very excellent. Lots of provisions, very excellent.
So in a situation like this, sorry, as you mentioned, say we get provision for inside our constitution when they control our election. So in a place where in a situation where we say both the Electoral Act and the Electoral Act, they perhaps go against, they contrast the constitution. Which one will take precedence? Which one will take?
No, because the constitution automatically, elementarily takes precedence. And recall that, yes, it's even the constitution that vests power, okay, in the National Assembly to even make law. So the constitution is supreme. It vests power in National Assembly to even make this act we're talking about. So the act is subject to the constitution. The act itself is drawn from the provisions of the constitution. Even the Independent National Electoral Commission, right, Establishment Act, is also drawn from the constitution. But why I reference the constitution as a ground norm lays fundamental framework, not details. Every constitution lays the fundamental framework, and then it governs the issues about the positions for election, the qualification and disqualification, and tenure. You can see those fundamental frameworks with respect to election. Those ones are handled purely by the Constitution, not actually with the Electoral Act. But even where they appear in the Electoral Act, they shall not appear in such a way that they will add or remove or by any way distort the way it's provided in the Constitution. That is to say, creating the positions, providing for the qualification, and then the powers and functions of those offices. The Electoral Act now becomes more like the procedure, right? And then also the regulations in terms of the offenses and all of that. So there are a number of areas that will be very fundamental for us to get things right, beginning from the base, beginning from the political parties. How do our political parties conduct their own affairs to get credible candidates for election? You know that the Electoral Act gave them 3 windows, and I worry on 2 of those windows. 2 of the windows create the kind of situations that you have Godfather Festa, and then you could also have manipulations. And that is part of the electoral system or electoral process. The electoral system includes the political parties, the electoral commission, and of course the legal frameworks. The electoral process includes even the process within the political parties. It's not just centered at the general elections proper. So with this, if you ask me, the Electoral Act.
Yes.
So the Electoral Act, you know, dealing with the law.
Okay, go ahead, sir.
You know, the Electoral Act created opportunity for the political parties to even come by way of consensus. And what does consensus mean? How does it apply in real terms? It's almost like a godfather or the political party officials kind of supremacy. That by consensus, we agree that this person should be our candidate. And for me, that is not democratic enough. That's not considering democracy within the political parties. So however the leadership of the political parties manipulate to get a candidate. I was speaking with someone today on a radio program that if we unfortunately have the political parties turn out, permit me in quote, non-entities as the candidates of all the political parties, it means that at the general election, we don't have a choice, but we'll vote one entity from a number of entities to come and govern us. So we have to be concerned about even what the Electoral Act says with respect to the political party activities to get candidates. So the direct primaries is more democratic for me, so that all the registered members of a political party should be given the opportunity to contest and to vote who should be their candidate. But that's so where I believe they will have.
Amazing that we had them remove the direct primaries. Is it not amazing that we had them remove the direct primaries and adopted consensus and indirect primaries?
I'm not aware of that really yet. Have they removed the indirect direct primaries from the Electoral Act amendment?
We heard that they played down on the direct primaries and then, you know, affirmed the indirect primaries and the consensus candidature or candidacy. That's what we heard. So that's part of the complaint people have. And if this is happening, then what kind of transparency primaries, which is the foundation of the elections, are we going to be having? So Barrister Sim, as I was saying earlier, the question is it not possible to have a law that is very tight, that there will be no leakage at all? Is it impossible to have such a law in Nigeria? Why do we always have laws that people always look for a way to run, you know, look for a way to slip off from? Barrister Ekine, can you hear me, sir? I think we've lost him. Barrister Ekine, can you hear me? All right, Nigerians phone lines are open. Let's take your calls, 08170294077. I think I can't hear him anymore. I don't know if he's still here. Barrister Ekine, can you hear me, please? If you can, kindly let us know. We cannot hear you at all. So, all right. So let me just begin. Let me start with taking calls, and then let's see how we go. Good evening to you, Danjuma, and welcome.
Good evening, Precious. How are you today?
I suppose they're fine, but they never give me lights. Nah, what did they call them? Inverter they use, so you can see me sweating. Barrister Ekine, are you back there with us, sir? Okay, just go ahead. I think
greetings to the guest. I thought the president say if he doesn't give you light, you shouldn't vote for him.
I not get him. I not get him.
So you are not going to vote for him?
I not vote before.
Ah, okay. Yeah, it is true. You are right when you said that the Senate did not acquiesce to direct primaries. You know, for
have you read the documents?
Political party.
Have you read the entire document? I have not been able to go through all of it.
Yes, they didn't. They only took indirect and consensus. Yes, they only took, and again, you can see all the things that they're planning to do. First of all, let me just say that e-transmission real time is not rocket science. and they shouldn't try and create the impression or rub wool over people's eyes. We have a lot of. It's not. It's not. It's not. It's a ruse. In fact, what they're trying to do is to create the avenue for rigging. That's what they're trying to do. The internet penetration is over 70% in Nigeria, and even INEC in 2022 did say that they have 93% coverage. So if INEC is not complaining, and INEC actually was part of the various consultation groups, the meetings, and and they did agree, in this amendment to everything that the House of Rep passed. So if INEC says they don't have a problem, why is the Senate so afraid? Why? That proviso that they put in there, that if electronic transfer fails, then there's an option. It's not acceptable. It's not. And like the barrister said, if it fails for whatever reason, they should cancel and postpone the election until the next day. And
I was also going to ask a question in line with perhaps early votings and all that, like you guys do in the US, to also help us control some of the surge that we may experience on the election day proper. Barrister Ekine, are you there with us now? Can you hear us? Barrister Ekine, sir, are you there? Hello, sir. We can't hear you.
I'm hearing you.
Oh, sorry. So he did ask a question, and that's very critical.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now, sir. Yes, I can hear you now. Do you remember that it was Mahmoud Yakubu that pressed on the 9th Assembly to ensure that, in fact, I think that was not even the 9th Assembly. I think it was the 8th Assembly, because it started in 2018 during the 8th Assembly, when they were about to pass the Electoral Act, amend the Electoral Act, then that they were also debating against direct transmission, electronic transmission, and then a lot of them also gave the excuses that there is no network in their places. And then Mahmoud Yakubu now said that he can liaise with NCC and communications service providers to ensure that there will be network. And it was Mahmoud who came back and told us that NCC has assured him that they can give us network across Nigeria. This conversation started from 2018, repeated itself again in 2022 before they passed the last electoral bill. So how come at this time now we're not hearing Oga Mokwe to talk? Because at that time it was Mahmoud Yakubu who kept saying that, he would ensure that he gets through with NCC to be sure that they can have network and they can give us network coverage. So why are we using this as an excuse at this time? I don't know if you remember this incident, sir.
And Starlink is everywhere. What are they talking about? The people in Sambisa Forest, how did they communicate? How did they communicate? How did you transfer money to people in the village? They get the money. How do we transfer money? POS is everywhere. WhatsApp is everywhere. So what are they talking about?
But Barrister Ekine, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you clearly. Can you hear me now?
Fantastic. So if you can answer that, how is it that Mahmoud Yakubu was able to convince the NCC, not just the NCC, the 8th and 9th Assembly, about having enough network coverage for the transmission of electoral results? And why are we not seeing Amokwe to do same now that this is in contention? I mean, he doesn't have to do same. He can just refer us to what his colleague did in the past.
Let me ask Barrister a question. With over 1 trillion that they have given to them, even if there's a problem, is it rocket science to ensure that our people, this problem is overcome? Small countries, Ghana, Namibia, Botswana, we saw them do election, and some of these things you can see them real time. Why are they creating the impression as if this is something that is not doable or that this is a problem? Why are our legislators doing that?
Yeah, Precious. The chairman of INEC doesn't need to speak. The chairman of INEC is not the people. He's also our servant. We are speaking already. The people are speaking. No, I'm coming. I'm coming. I'm
Okay.
coming. Yeah, Yakubu spoke at that time. It wasn't there. He was initiating. He was assuring the National Assembly. But we have a current INEC that has come at a time when this thing is there. See, like what are the caller or the guest I could say is saying this thing is there already. These legislators, supposed honorables, like I said, I'm deliberate to say that what they are saying is a lie. It's not just maybe glossing to say it's untrue. It's they are deliberately lying to Nigerians. And they are lying, unfortunately, to people who reside in these places they are alleging don't have network. Not even themselves. All of the members of the National Assembly, both the Senate and the House of Reps, they all communicate from their village. One of them is from a village that does not have network. But they will ignore that. None of them will, in good conscience, stand in plenary on the floor of this house say in his village that there is no network. Are there one of them to say so? Of course, that would have been a disservice within their people that they've not attracted. So who are they speaking for? Are they speaking for people who are the ones who are saying, give us electronic transfer? There is network in my village. The one in Taraba is saying there is network in it. Let me tell you one thing. A bit on the security side. I have a younger brother who is in the armed forces. He's in the army. He's here in Port Harcourt in 6th Division headquarters. But the last 6 months until he just came back this January, he's been in Kaduna on duty. Most of the times in Kaduna, he will be in the bush, in the forest. Do you know that somehow, right, when it's convenient for him, let it not be such that when it's actually deep in the fight that he makes the calls. But when it's convenient for him, he makes the call through and he says it's in the bush. Who is playing with who here?
Let me ask one question.
We are the Nigerians. And the network is there, not even in Kaduna town, where he is on duty.
Senator Orji Carlo came on air to say that there's no network in his place, in his village in Abia State. I think he's Ibere. That's why he's opposed to it. Can someone confirm that there is no network in that village? After serving,
exactly. These are the things we need to do. Where is Senator Carlo's village?
Iberi. In Abia North.
If we could Google now, where is Senator Ozo Carlo from? If we Google now, we'll find out where is he from in Abia State, which village, and that there is no network there. Before we say people come to lie on the floor of the National Assembly. And if there is no network in his village, none of the networks, no MTN, no Airtel, no Glo in his community. I just told you, Precious, here, I can tell you right here, in my village, Kala Ubogolo, that is Unit 17, there's a polling unit there. I don't have any mass, meaning there is no physical presence in terms of their facility in my village, MTN, Glo, and Airtel. But you know what? We have network in that village. If I tell you, sometimes the network comes from even another local government. In Abua, a local government area, communities before you get to my village, because they have mass, they have Glo, the network filters into my community. I go home, I can call my village right now. I call them every day. They have a mix of Glo and Airtel. The Airtel line is stronger. The Glo is also there when it comes from the next community. Then for the MTN, if you walk to the river, the Orashi River, you will get net and do everything. If I go home, if I want to do something on MTN, I walk to the riverside. And the community is a riverine community. So by the bank of the shore of the river, I can get MTN network. And so if anybody comes to my village in Unit 17 to conduct election, will that person tell me that he will not have network to transmit electoral, the results from my village? These are lies and conveniently told so that they can perpetuate themselves in office. Because like I said, they are not popular. If we have our electoral law properly restructured, and then we have these openings really blocked against them, and then we have the institution also determined to conduct free, credible, and fair elections, fully thorough and independently, Most of these people will not get close to any elective position. And for them, it's business. This is their investment. They are yielding thousands of dollars and then billions of naira from being politicians. Our politicians are big investors in public offices. For them, politics and contest of election is an investment. They do nothing else. If you look at the amount of money we hear, it's in the billions. If you go to stealing here, what EFCC is prosecuting public office holders is no longer in thousands of naira, 80 billion, 100 billion.
It was very shocking for me to know that in the 2025 budget, we had about 280 something billion naira, or 231 billion thereabouts, as the budget for health, the health sector, the health ministry for 2025. Guess how much was given to them? The Minister of Health is coming to tell us that it was just 38 million out of 38 million out of 200 and something billion naira that was given to him. For the health sector of the entire country. The health sector.
One quick one, Precious. Sir? One quick one, Precious. For a responsible Senate,
go ahead, sir. Hello, Barrister Ekine, are you there? Okay, we're losing you. We don't have your audio, Barrister Ekine. If you can hear us, we don't. Yes, we can hear you.
A quick one. Yes, I'm here. A quick one. Senate, with this conversation that is going on, with the debate on network and no network and electronic transmission of results, a responsible Senate would have convened a public hearing that will mandate the Nigerian Communication Commission, right, to come and clarify issues. And then we should also hold that commission liable or responsible or accountable to even the budget for them, total coverage, for the at least for the purpose of election. Another thing, can they also get technology to get a device that can attract or at least provide network for the purpose of transmission, since that is what the people want? What are they budgeting for? All we want our money to be used is for credible election. That's our primary concern now, transiting and 2027 discussion, is that the people of Nigeria, whose sovereignty lies and in us to determine the power vested in us to determine who governs us, who becomes president, who becomes governor, who becomes a senator, who becomes a representative in the House of Representatives, the House of Reps, and then a member of the House of Assembly. So if it is truly us, this is what we are demanding of the Senate. Whatever it takes, even if it means that the budget will be revisited, for them to ensure, even if it means subsidizing internet connectivity, so that they just assemble the 3 network providers to say, make sure that in every polling unit, they have the list of the units. They are not conducting an election in every corner or so of Nigeria. They have the list of the polling units. There are some areas that people will move from certain area to another place for voting. So if you have the units already stable, why not engage relevant agencies, departments of government, and probably even private sector providers of services to ensure that this is done? But they won't do that because it's not to their favor. But we'll continue to demand that this must happen.
All right, let me quickly speak to you. Good evening, Marvelous. Welcome. Please go ahead with your question. Yes, please. Kindly help me speak up, please. Now,
just to add some quick thoughts.
Go ahead.
To conversation before I put in my question. So for me, what I'm thinking, that's manual collation which they added today. That's criminal.
Am I still being heard? If I am, just add. Again, what we are talking about is something that can be done in 5-10 minutes, because we do not need the network for the voting. We do not need network for the voting. We need the network only for the transmission.
Yes.
Let's be practical here, Precious. Now, you need network for accreditation purposes. After accreditation, you vote. By the time you need network again, the results would have been, the votes would have been typed, results entered on the form EC8A, then snap it. Now, when you need network critically again, is to transmit it, to press the button for what you want to send to go to the IREV. Now, we have been on this conversation for more than 1 hour, 30 minutes. Our locations across the country, and we are still connecting and talking. Every day there could be a bit of a freezing, but we are connected and we are still talking. Now, this activity, this particular transaction to transmit result is less than 10 minutes. After the results, the votes would have been counted and the results entered on the form EC8A, and then you snap. You don't need the network for snapping. You don't need network to manually count the votes. You don't need the network to even enter the votes on form EC8A. Now, you snap it. It is on like your phone. You use the beavers to snap it as that electronic device. Now, you need that network in just 5-10 minutes. And sometimes, how many hours is the election?
All right.
The election is even regulated between morning and afternoon. And the very point of transmitting this result that we are arguing from morning to evening is just about 10 minutes. I think these people are just clearly up to taking on rigging the elections. And they have started that in the political parties. I'm surprised this evening to hear that direct primaries wasn't considered by the Senate, so that they will leverage on indirect primaries and consensus. You see where the political parties will now resort to consensus, probably across board. And then consensus will mean where the political party officials and the leadership will decide who goes.
All right, so let's go back to our calls. Marvelous, you were saying something. Kindly wrap up quickly so that we'll talk to someone else. Can you hear me?
My thoughts before I will put in my question.
Okay.
So what of the manual coalition which was added today, that manual coalition is criminal because this people, they got their acceptance already on ground. They have their acceptance on them already. Which they are 24/7 because these people are not sleeping. They are working hard on this whole thing. There are people outside pushing this whole stuff. That's the one. And again, because on that day of election, these people can speak to these network providers and tell them, just turn off all the services. Tell them that there is no services, there is no services, there is no internet connections. Then, because these people, they are criminal minded. They don't mean well for that country. So, I insist that manual connection should be taken out. It must be in transmission all through, whether they like it or not. So,
yeah, but that's what. But if you've been listening to us, that's what we said here, and that's what Atiku Abubakar too has said. Sure. Atiku said that them, the opposition, that are not going to accept it. You know, so what they will do is up to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's a very good one as well. And again, what I will also add again, is it not possible that even the party agents, all of them should put up body cameras, body cam. And even the INEC themselves, all the locations, they should fix in cameras to capture, that camera should capture every activities that went on during the voting hours, during everything on that page. The case is more of a security. They could be able to monitor everything, what is going on in each of the voters. Because the case these people are singing their talks and their stuff to call destruct any of those areas. So once the camera captured those things as well, that could be used as an evidence as well.
You see this one you're saying is another matter. I'm sorry to say, Marvelous. If we had a budget of 355 billion naira thereabouts for the 2023 election, that's so INEC to conduct the 2023 election. And for this 2027 election, the president has already budgeted about 1.1 trillion naira to them. For the 2023 election, till now, they're not able to give us a count of what they did. Neither are they able to give us the exact reason why we had a glitch or what nature of glitch it was. Do you see them buying body cams for representatives. I don't understand. Not all other now you make like this, so but just go ahead. Barrister Ekine will respond to you. Just go ahead.
Let me ask something that you know why I'm saying this here? Because the money they paid for the election is excess, is over budgeted. You get my point. That money they will even spend because that money, a lot of that money will go into individual pockets. It will go to individual pocket that money. So if there is really scrutiny on it, so the money is excess, is enough. So for me, like the security, like the police, I think the police themselves, they should have those equipment as well, like those body cam. You wear those body cam, and at least when you guys are on ground, those body cams captures everything. Like there are vehicles as well. Because if you're saying security, there's just no difference to election like this that because if they really value the human life, especially all these things should be on ground. It should be on ground.
All right. So just go straight to your question, please, so that we don't take too much time. Others are calling, and so that we can also release Barrister Ekine.
My question to because I know you mentioned some of the areas about issue or anything. You know, for Fubara, I could say it's a very for me they can't push him to be what he's not. The guy, if you look at that guy, is a very calm guy as well. So my question to him now, what are the Rivers people doing to make sure that they stop this wicked? One man cannot hold that state to ransom. What are the Rivers people doing to make sure that they ask that guy to back up, to hands up off Rivers State politics? He has finished serving his term as governor.
All right, thank you. Thank you. Let him respond. Barrister Ekine, would you like to respond to that whilst we'll take another call? Barrister Ekine, are you there? He wants to know what you guys will do to allow Wike to make Wike hands off Rivers politics. Say you don't do. Say you don't finish in time. Can you hear me, sir? Barrister Ekine, are you there? Okay, so I think the network is really very disturbing. So I said somebody did ask the question, wants to know what you people are doing in Rivers State to stop Wike because he's done.
Precious, so let me say something about with respect to. I can hear you.
Go ahead, sir.
I said let me say some. Yes, I am. Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, please. Go ahead, sir.
Precious, I am. I can hear you clearly.
Yes, go ahead, please. Just go ahead. We can hear you. Go ahead. I think there's a little bit of delay. Go ahead, sir.
No, but I think your line is freezing now.
Sorry. Just go ahead. We can hear you. Just go on. Go on.
Your line is actually freezing, but I wanted to say that with respect to the caller who talked about about body cams and other gadgets for the purpose of capturing what is going on in the polling unit. I think the commission may not want to bother about that. You know why? Fortunately, proving electoral matters in court, in the tribunals and in court, is such that it is the petitioner that has the onus. The election was not conducted in compliance with the laws and guidelines. If we could turn, because of the sensitivity of electoral matters, the burden on the conduct or the commission that conducts the election to prove that the election they conducted was done in compliance with the Constitution, the Electoral Act, and their own guidelines, then they will look for means to prove that they complied with their own guidelines and the Electoral Act. Then they will make provision for such maybe gadgets and devices as perhaps cameras to be able to capture what they did. So at that time,
they will be capturing what they are doing in compliance with the law. But in this case, it is the petitioner that will struggle. And we know how almost impracticable for the petitioner to be everywhere. And the election is so difficult to prove, to the extent that if you allege irregularity, you would have to prove actually in all of the units covering that election that you contested.
I thought the lawmakers were talking about this and ensuring that, because I think Sarah K. Dixon or so had stated that last year, that they want to put the burden on INEC. The INEC should take responsibility of the burden of proof, because when they conduct the election, INEC, then we give money to conduct the election, so they
will be more serious.
Yes. Oh dear. I don't know if I've lost
because even if the burden will start with the petitioner, let's shift at some point to the respondent, including INEC. Because if the petitioner alleges that the election was not conducted in compliance with the law and is able to prove to some extent, the commission that is also claiming that they conducted in compliance with the law and their guidelines should show. But in this case, the matter is decided on the strength of the petitioner's case, whether he is able to prove all of the alleged non-compliance. The weakness of the petitioner's case is like a favor to the respondent. But there are certain matters that decisions don't go only on the grounds that the petitioner or the claimant's case is weak, but you have the onus also to show that what you did was right. And I think for the sensitivity of elections, and particularly since we have not got to that point where we have a credible election, we should also put it on INEC to ensure that they conduct elections in compliance with the law and their guidelines. And then they have to show that they did so.
Right. But you have to tinker with the laws. You have to tinker with our laws, because, yes, like exactly. You said,
yes, it has to come around the amendments, really. So that's true.
Now I want to ask you: APC has just conducted the electronic registration of members all over the country. So if APC can do that, okay, how are some members of APC now saying that it's not possible for us to have electronic transmission if they can do electronic registration all over the country?
His line is breaking up again, but because I wanted to say that even INEC too is having e-registration, the first phase of e-registration. So they will tell you that. All right. Hello, good evening, and welcome. Kindly drop your question so that when Barrister Ekine comes back, we'll let him know. Good evening and welcome, sir. What's your name and where you come from?
Hi, good evening.
Yes, please.
Mr. Precious, my name is Dr. Deployer. I'm calling from United Kingdom.
You're welcome, sir.
I've been following what has been going on in Nigeria, Abuja to be precise. And this gang of forefathers have continued their system of holding Nigeria in captivity. And now they have done what they have intention to do, but I do not hope that the game is over yet, because obviously when Nigeria talks about the election, nobody even talks about the old people of 90 years, 100 years, 80 years with walking stick, with wheelchair, who are coming to the venue to vote. How do they get there? What is this level of the security there? Nobody is talking about the pregnant women who are coming to cast their votes. Because these guys, all these people they imported from Sahel, that's the arms wing that the APC are using to make sure that they destabilize this country. And during the election, you see them with sticks, with machete, with dangerous weapons, destroying ballot boxes and pushing people out of the zone. And these people are waiting. Why they didn't attack the protest these 2 days is because they are testing the waters. Therefore, what I wanted to ask the barrister when he comes back is, are Nigerians going to survive another 4 years of Tinubu? Because how these 2 years to go, I don't know the population of Nigeria before the 2 years will finish. Are Nigerians ready to survive another 4 years of this APC under Tinubu, which Canada have declared a terrorist organization, and everyone can see it? If the answer is no, then every Nigerian should be ready to occupy National Assembly to make sure that they obey the will of the people. Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope he joins us back to drop his thoughts on that. But T.Y. Danjuma, let me let you wrap up on what you were trying to say. The next make me start on time so that before village people will act, if we don't take small. Just
There's a posting here by a guy called Emeka Egenti, right? I don't know if you saw it. And he's just telling us that he Googled, he just Googled and Iberi to find out if
there is network. There will be network in Iberi. Don't worry about that. Because you get Iberi before you get on Hafia, and then before you get to Arochukwu. So if you can have massive network in Arochukwu and on Hafia, there's no way you won't have it. It's closer. So I don't even want to talk about it.
It's good for Nigerians to know who their enemies are. That's why it's important. For someone who was the governor for 8 years, senator 8 years, and then member of House of Rep for another 4 years, and then ran for presidency of this nation under PPA, yeah, to be saying this as if Nigerians are not Nigerians are daft, they are not educated. So you can see clearly these are people who
what do Nigerians do? What should they do? Because one thing we know for a fact is that if our leaders don't want pass anything, they don't go pass. You guys cannot do more than a dead rat. You see the way people are already coming in to say that, oh, there is no network, this, oh, other countries do not have it. They're already giving excuses. They won't do it if they don't want to do it. What are we going to do? So that means we should just buckle up and clearly expect 2023 to repeat itself, or something worse than 2023, and then just take it, not take it by faith. Because what do we do?
No, you can see that the pressure, this little pressure is working. This little, you see how they buckle. They are buckling.
The opposition, I don't talk, say they no good agree, that they will press on. Do you think the cries of the opposition would they heard? What do you think the opposition should even do?
Yeah, I think the opposition, you see, for instance, ADC, who that we call a major opposition, it's just a coalition. It's individuals who came together. It's not party. So we haven't gotten to the party when the parties begin to coalesce. It's just individuals who are members of various parties. It's a coalition. That's what the mistake that people make. It's not parties coming together. Like you have, so yes, APC has advantage now, and they are doing stuff. They are supposed to be sanctioned, but they are not being sanctioned by the various authorities. They are doing all kinds of things even before the whistle is blown. They are already running, which is an offense if you go by the electoral law. But because the whole system is broken down, the whole system is skewed in favor of the ruling government and the APC government. So certain offenses, certain abuses that should receive a hammer of the law enforcement agencies are not excused for whatever reason. So for me, what I think is that the people have the power, and they've just demonstrated it here, that if you put pressure on these people, they will run. So what the people have to do is to refuse to take, if they give you 5,000, look at what we saw. There were people who came to this protest. They were wearing ADC vest, obedient vest, sorry. And they are not obedient people. They have to force them, drive them away, because they are sending those people to come and fight so that they will say, you see, obedience, they are causing trouble. So the people have to be vigilant. They have to stand their ground. That's the only, we have to force these people out. Because even if you go through all this process, assuming even they did the right thing, the president can withhold accent. It will go back again to the Senate, or the entire Congress. It goes back to them, and they probably delay before they approve it, and so on. Time is gone, and so we now fall back on the 2022 Electoral Act. So all these things they are doing, they are positioning the powers that be to do whatever they want. But if Nigerians stand their ground, and make sure that for once, this nonsense stops, then you begin to see change. But like I told you, I don't believe that anybody is going to, endorse, acquiesce, or approve anything that is going to challenge the likelihood of him or her coming back to power. They're not going to do that. They're not going to do that. You can see the campaign that is going on. You can see the laundering that is going on, both within Nigeria and outside. So if you have 31 governors, and if you are doing so well, you have all the money, you have your power of incumbency, and you're still afraid, and you're still doing all this forging and forgery and all that, it shows you that they know that they have a serious problem. So opposition or no opposition, let us leave opposition, put their ass together, but let the people stand and realize that this is not just a fight for opposition. This is a fight for Nigerians. This is a do or die fight. And if we don't chase them out, they're already positioning their kids. They already have a system where the poor man cannot pay 30 million or 100 million to get a ticket to run for office. They are already beginning to, you can see, now you can have a consensus. They can meet together. They're not going to put a poor person there. They're going to put themselves there. Parties are already, you see, the internal democracy, which we are not looking at. Is also a problem.
We're keeping quiet because they like say we're really ready for a change. So we keep quiet because once they pass this bill, it will hard for another assembly to say make them change it in them pass. Because
there's so many issues that we're not looking at. So many issues that we're not looking at. The camping, we're not looking at it. If someone decamps, you will know that particular party.
But then you carry the vote, give another political party.
So, and you're not sanctioned. And it's against the law. If I'm voting for we don't vote for individuals, we vote for political parties, because names of individuals are not there. It's the political party, and the political party has programs that he wants to sell. So someone now goes and votes for a political party, and then the person who's running under that political party wins, and then for whatever reason, there are no problems with his party, as allowed by law, and then he decamps, and there are no sanctions, and it has come to stay. So those things are things that we have to interrogate. Internal democracy, the camping, rigging, they propose that it should be 10 years. Now, again, Senate said no, the oldest thing should retain 2 years and maybe 5 million fine. They will be able to pay it. So these things are things that we must also look at. Early release of funds to INEC. We have to. Who appoints the INEC chairman is a problem. Because if
it's not even in the offing so far. It's just
you see, so time frame allow for primaries and all that. Those are issues. Even the atmosphere of voting. That it should be unfair. You don't have to send Oro. You don't have to. We saw the Chukudi incident and all that. Preventing people. You don't do that. Can you imagine there was, I think was it you who said it, or I heard it somewhere, of a traditional ruler who removed somebody who was in the queue to vote. Someone he knew from his village, he knew that person. He knows he's not going to vote for his party, and saying he forced him out of the queue, of the line. And this is supposed to be a democratic process. So these are the things that we have to interrogate and make sure that people are dealt with when such things, are done. Then the disposal of court cases. Somebody, is being challenged. His so-called victory challenged in court, and then they swear him in. He uses the power of incumbency to frustrate the court trial. That's wrong. He should wait. Or the courts, there should be a deadline within which cases should be disposed of. I know he's there, but such a person should not assume office. We should not be paying him, when the case is in dispute. His victory is in dispute. Because eventually, if he loses, the money that has been paid to him is wasted. He doesn't refund it. He does not refund it. So if they nullify his so-called victory by INEC or by the court or by whoever did it, then what of the money they paid him ab initio? So these are some of the things that we have to interrogate, which we are not doing. Nigerians are not looking at that. Those are all part of the ways that they are using to frustrate the political process so that we don't have free and fair election. But all said and done, what I'm saying is that, Nigerians have the power. They are not using it. They have to use it. They have to use it. If they don't use it, where we have a court, the judiciary, that is, under the beck and call of the executive. They get free land, get free cars, get free housing, and all that. So they are not. The judiciary is no longer the temple of justice that we know to be. They are no longer. So judiciary is a problem. It's not the last hope of the people. The legislature, forget about them. Those ones are, they've been bought. The executive, they've been bought. So who checks who? There's no check. The whole process of check and balance, and balances that we have in the system, has totally been, destroyed. So Nigerians have to. It's not God that is going to do this. The court won't do this for you. Legislature will not do it for you. You can see what's happening. The executive will not do that for you. So it's up to Nigerians to say no.
Thank you. Thank you, T.Y. Danjuma.
Thank you. Okay.
Someone. Hello. All right. Thank you, sir. Good evening and welcome. Are you there? Yes, please go ahead. What's your name? Where are you calling from? Go straight on.
Yeah, my name is Trix. I'm calling from United Kingdom.
You're welcome, Mr. Trix. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I want to ask the barrister.
He's not here with us again. His network cut him off. So I don't know if he can come back again.
Okay, you will keep this question because he has to answer this question.
No problem, sir.
Yeah. The first one is, what happened in the last election? Why has Nigerian government not proved what happened in the last election? Is this how a country functions?
Why Nigerian government has not proved what happened in the last election?
Yes, and why is the citizens, both the lawyers, both the MPAs, the journalists, why are they keeping quiet over that? Because if we are a true country, such thing happens, they probe it, they find some people guilty, or at least we know what happened. By now, all these things we are arguing now would have been fairer. I can tell you that. Because if these people knows that if anything happened, there's gonna be probe. The people is gonna ask questions. People is gonna go down for it. They wouldn't be doing all this nonsense they're doing now. And the second question, this thing I have is, why are we afraid of saying that INEC have the burden of proof that the election? You remember this? I've been saying this for a very long time, that the burden of proof should be on INEC, because all these things we are saying, you see what they did today, right? If the burden of proof is on INEC, we won't have problem.
All right,
nobody will have problem because INEC will come and prove that this election, no matter whatever problem they create, you see all these things we are saying, we are making big mistake, because to rig election is very easy. They can stop it saying transport, they can stop it wherever they can't have upper hand, they can do anything to rig it. But if INEC has that burden of proof, this would have been a little bit easier. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Let me speak to. Hello, good evening and welcome.
Hey, Precious, how are you?
I could be better. Go ahead, please.
I cannot believe that the Senate's gonna do this. They have scammed Nigeria. They have scammers. How are they putting that clause? Let me tell you what they think is gonna happen. On the day of election, they're just gonna mess up all the network. I'm telling you, that's what they're gonna do. They're gonna get all the network and mess it up. Why can't they just put that clause in case there is no network? That polling booth will be cancelled and wait till they have a network. Just like we have it in Beavers. They can put that. So what they are telling us is that we're going to go through manual, period. Because I guarantee you, on that day of election, they're going to cut off network. And they say there's no network. That's exactly what we're going to do. Nigeria has to wake up, I'm telling you. Then let me tell you what is happening. I don't know whether you know that judge that is dealing with Tinubu now on the drug stuff, that job has given a
been there since and watched her own very own directive flouted for months, for years. A case that has been before you since 2022, and it's taking you 3 years to understand that the FBI and DEA are flouting your orders. Come on, sir, please. We're all wiser than that.
Wait. I know what I'm telling you. We're on the ground here. Wait. I told you last time that Tinubu donated 6 million to Kamari House. You know that. I told you guys.
That's what you said, but it's not verified, sir.
Okay, wait a minute. It's real. No problem. Trump does not forget. Do you remember the Ukrainian guy that was supporting Biden? You know what the things, how they deal with him until he's home. Don't tell me that Trump will forget that donation he made to Kamari Harris. Don't tell me that. So for the judge,
but that is not even verified because it's not even anywhere in the news.
For the judge to give a gag order, step by step, you tell me why you don't want to do this. This is a new administration. But anyway, that is by the way. We're going to see how it will happen. Then what I'm saying is, Nigeria has to fight this. We have to take the House of Rep version. But I know the House of Rep probably compromised now. We have to fight this. So we have to fight this. These people will stop the network on the day of election, and that's what exactly what they're going to do. They will just stop the network. They're going to just instruct MTN, all of them, clinch it, and then they have excuse to do whatever they want to do. That's all I have. It's a bad day for Nigeria, I tell you. Really a bad day.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate you. All right, Nigerians, that's the size of our package. I'd like to say a big thank you to all of us who's been on the show. It's always a pleasure to be with us and to have us discuss things that affect us. Let's not stop talking. You can hear that, they're complaining about the talks and the platforms across social media. That means they can hear, they can see. So let's continue to talk for the growth and development of our nation, because we know say one day it will spark the right reaction or action by our leaders and cause them to do the right thing. I love you guys and I appreciate you. I'll see you. I had a lot of other things I wanted to show you and talk about too, but the electoral reform matter don't overtake issues. So let's just say our goodbyes. Good night and God bless you. I love you. Protect your mental health. Goodbye.